everybody, it's Diana here, and I am here today to sew up the Lizzy ruffle pant. And I have no idea why I've never done this one before. I guess because I don't have any daughters, maybe. But I do have tons of nieces, so that's what I'm doing today. And it is such a cute pattern. It goes so great under any kind of top, tunic, dress, anything, just to like you know, little girls love to go outside, run around, and you know, they want to look pretty, but they also want to be comfortable. So this is a great pattern, and I'm using this pink knit, and I already cut out all my pieces, and actually I already did one part of my pant to show you what it's gonna look like. This is just part of it. So we're gonna go ahead and do the other pant leg, and then we're gonna put them together. What I already did is what we're gonna be doing right now, so you'll see it step by step. But I'm really excited. I thought I was a little bit scared, you know, with ruffles, because that takes a while and blah blah blah. But no, it's super easy. It's so easy. So we're gonna get started. I have my ruffles, so you're supposed to cut 4 ruffles. I already attached 2, so now I have 2 ruffles left. This is my thicker ruffle, my longer ruffle, wider ruffle, and this is my shorter. And the first thing you have to do is hem the ruffle, which I already hemmed this one, but I'm gonna go ahead and hem this one. And I'm always looking for easier ways to do things. So on the pattern it tells you, and you can do it however you want to. I'm not sure how you like to hem your knits or whatever, but if you have a cover stitch, then that's great, but I don't. So this is what I decided to do. Well, on the pattern it tells you to fold 1/4 and then 1/4 again, and then sew like you do a regular hem, but this is the way I'm gonna do it. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my serger, and I'm going to just do the edge. I'm not cutting anything off. I'm just giving it a finish to the edge. So that it looks more professional. Ends up looking more like I did it with a cover stitch, which I don't have. And then, so now I've got a nice serged edge. And so then I'm gonna fold that up, or, you know, yes. So this is my wrong side, so I'm folding it into my wrong side. And steam. And then I'm gonna do a stitch over that. So I'm going to be stitching that down. And it ends up looking pretty good. Because I was afraid. At first I'm like, okay, well maybe I won't hem it, because it's just knit, and you know, you can leave knit raw. Also, I've seen it where they just do the hem, they just do the serged edge like I just did, and then they just leave it. That also looks really cute, especially if you want to do it like an accenting color thread. Oh, that would be really, really cute too. So you can do that, but I'm just gonna hide it. It's just pink on pink, so it really is not big of a deal, but I'm just gonna do this extra step. Well, it's not really an extra step, but I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. My scissors are so dull. And I already did it on this one, as you can kind of see. This is the back side. It looks like it was done with a cover stitch, and here's the front side. So that turns out pretty good. So now I'm gonna do it go ahead and hem it on my machine. Change the settings because I had it on zigzag, and we don't want to do a little zigzag there. Do a zigzag, then I'm gonna be very upset because I don't want to do that. So here I go. Now when I am hemming, I want to make sure that I'm looking at the foot of the machine where my end of my fabric is going, and not at the needle, because that helps it to be a straighter, it helps it to give it a straighter, cleaner look. If you're looking at your needle, it moves around, but if you look at where the foot ends, and that's where your fabric is, then it helps you to keep it the same width. And then it's not like a zigzag line, which I've done before. The worst thing is to get done with your hem, and then you go to look at it and it looks, yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that. That was my biggest thing sewing. I wanted to look, you know, there is there is something special about something being handmade. You know, like it looks different than everybody else's. You can have different styles, different designs, but I don't want it to look homemade, if that makes any sense. That's just me. Okay, so now both ruffles have been hemmed, and now what I'm gonna do is, the next step is to gather the ruffles. So we're gonna gather them up. And the way that I do it, I know some people do it on the serger, but I've never done it on the serger. The way I do it is I do it on my machine, and I just do a long basting stitch. So I'm just gonna do that, but I'm gonna pull a little bit of my thread out because sometimes I lose it, and then that's not good. So I'm doing a long basting stitch at the top of the ruffle. It really doesn't matter where I do it because I'm going to pull that basting stitch once I'm done. It's going to come off. And I'm going to do the same thing for the next one. The top of the ruffle. Do a basting stitch. Now, some people do 2 rows of basting stitches to help with the ruffling, and you can do that, but this pattern really is not completely necessary, and I'll show you why. Here is one of my pant legs, and here is the crotch area right here, which means this is the top, the waist, and so I want to attach the ruffles to the bottom. So I'm not going to attach them yet, but I am going to put this piece right here on my mat so that I can see the width of the pant leg, of the bottom of the leg, because that's how wide I want my ruffles. So I'm going to start with my my biggest ruffle, and I'm going to gather that ruffle, which I'm doing by just pulling that back thread. Gather. You can gather from each side if you want, or just one side, I mean. Okay, so now I'm gonna make it just as wide as my pant leg. See, from here to here. And so I'm gonna go ahead and even those ruffles out. So they're just as wide. And you always wanna pull the ruffles up. They tend to sometimes like fold down, but you want to pull them up so that way when you sew them they catch. You don't want them, you know, catching all, sorry, my sound effects are not the best. You don't want them catching, you know, kind of folded down where they will fold against each other. So, okay. See, it's easy because, and this is one of the bigger sizes. This is like 7 or 8. Actually, so even with the bigger sizes, it's still not very long space to ruffle, so it's not like, oh, I have to be so precise, like when you do a dress ruffle and you go all the way around, and that's like, oh my gosh, scary. But this is not so scary. This is pretty easy peasy. Okay, so here we go. I'm all the way over, and I've got the ruffle. So I did the one ruffle. Now we're going to do the other one. Same exact thing to the other one. If I can catch it. There we go. Same exact thing. Come on, you're there, I know, I see you. Sorry, my thread is being stubborn. There it is. Okay, so now we are going to make sure it's right on top of that other ruffle and make sure they're both the same length. I ruffled this one a little too much, so I'm gonna have to make it come on back. Come on back, boy. There we go. Okay, here we go. Now they're the same. So now I just need to make sure that my ruffles are even. You know, once it flips around on the leg and everything, If your ruffles are not perfect, nobody's gonna know. You know, if you look at store-bought stuff, it's not perfect. And I actually think you do a better job when you hand make stuff, because you have that love that you put into it. You take your time, you know, so don't be so hard on yourself. I tend to be really hard on myself when I make things for people, and they're like, I love it. I'm like, do you really? Because, you know, there's this and that, and like, I've learned to just not even bring those things up, and they don't even see them. I think that sometimes you're your own worst critic. Okay, so now that they're together, they're the same length, they're the same width as the pant leg, I'm going to pin them together. Pin both ruffles together. And they're both facing face up. They're all both going face up. I'm going to pin them together, face up. Guys, see how easy this is? Like, literally doing the ruffle is the scariest part, and that wasn't even that scary. That was so easy. Sometimes I don't start a project, like I'm like, oh, this looks so hard, you know, I don't know if I can do it. And then once I actually stop being a chicken and do it, I'm like seriously? You were freaking out over that? That wasn't even that hard. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna baste them together so that when I attach them to the pant, they don't like, ugh. So I'm gonna use a zigzag stitch on my machine and just go right along the edge, not the edge, but like inside the edge. And then when you're done, you can take that off, but I'm just gonna do it. So you can do a long zigzag. Zigzag. It's not a C, it's not a K. Okay, here we go. Make sure that they're both catching in the machine. Both ruffles are catching in there. Like I said, I'm doing it slowly so they both catch. Ow! Ha! It happened. I don't know if you watched any of my other videos, but I always just throw pins on my floor, and I sew barefooted. I knew it was gonna get me. That wasn't too bad. That was just a little prick. Not too bad. Okay, so here it is. Now they're attached together. So now when I actually go to sew them on my pant, they won't come apart because they're together. So I'm going to turn them the right face facing the right side of the pant. So I'm going to turn them right side up. And I'm going to match them up to my pant. And pin raw edge to raw edge. So the raw edge of the ruffles to the raw edge of the pant, right sides together. And I'm pinning, 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 pinning. I'm so excited. If you guys are wondering what I'm wearing, this awesome thing is a 90s dress, my favorite. I love the 90s dress. If you haven't made one, go make one. You won't regret it. I love it. It's so comfy and cute. And because it's lined, I don't need to wear anything underneath, like an undershirt, because I'm always wearing undershirts. I'm always afraid that you're going to be able to see through my dress. Well, that's the beauty of a lined dress. And actually, the top part, this top part, I upcycled from another t-shirt, and this bottom fabric was like $1. So this dress was like, literally cost me like $1. Like, literally $1. Love a bargain. Now, don't get all like funny, because you know what? Not all patterns cost $1. I mean, not all designs cost $1. When you make your own things, you know that the shelf full of fabric behind you is not a cheap thing. My husband's always like, more fabric? I love fabric. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my serger and serge the ruffles to the pant. So you need to make sure that the ruffles are at the edge so that you catch all the ruffles, so that when you turn it up right side out, you don't have a ruffle picking out. So just make sure you do it slowly. Take your time. Remove all pins so you don't get a pin to the eyeball. Okay, so now I'm turning it right side out. Woo, here are all my pins. I never know where I put my pins. I have a tomato, but usually, like I said, they end up on the floor. All right, here it is. It's attached, my pant leg. Now you can go ahead and pull those threads out. Or you can do that at the end, whenever. Pull those out. Okay, so now I have my one pant leg. And I showed you I already did my other side. So it's all done. So now I have both of them done. And now I'm going to put right side up, one of the pant legs right side up. I don't know why I like to steam them. And then I'm gonna grab the other one and I'm putting it right side down, so right on top of my other one. And I'm gonna pin. And I like to pin a little bit in from the edge, so that way when I serge, I can just, and I don't have to move those pins every 2 seconds. If you're doing it on the sewing machine, you want to do a stretch stitch. If you're doing it on your serger, you can just go ahead and serge. So we're going to go ahead and serge the edges, these curves. Okay, go ahead and serge that up. One of my pins decided to go in there, but I caught it. Caught it before it hit me in the eye. I say that like it's funny, but it wouldn't be funny. It wouldn't be funny. Don't do it. Don't suggest it. All right. That is done, and we're almost done and done. So cool. Okay, here's my pant. Now I'm going to turn it right side up. I'm not right side up. I'm going to turn it right side, just like this. Look, they're almost done. So cute. Maybe you want to part it. Okay, so now we're going to sew these right here. Okay, I'm going to put it on my board. Still inside out, because you don't want that seam to be out for everyone to see. So I'm going to meet right here at the crotch area, the little where the seams are. That's the first seam I'm going to make. I mean the first one that I'm going to pin, because I want to make sure they are nice and even together. Make sure they're together. And then I'm going to go down, and right here I want to make sure that the seams for the ruffles are together as well. So I'm going to pin that. And then I'm going to pin the whole side. The whole side. So cute. Okay, now right here, this is a tricky part. It's not tricky, but you just have to be careful. So I'm actually going to go ahead and meet the raw edge of the small ruffle together and move it up to the raw edge of the big ruffle. make sure that they're all even. You want to make sure you pin the heck out of that, because you do not want the ruffle, the small ruffle not to catch, or the big ruffle not to catch, or some ruffle or another not to catch. So I would rather, when I pin, I would rather have like chop off a little bit of the ruffle than not have it catch, because you know the ruffle is gathered, so there's usually a little bit extra pull that you can just cut off if you want it, if you need to. But I'd rather do that than when I get done there be like it didn't catch all the way. So I always go in a little bit of my ruffle and make sure that I catch all the ruffles. Just really make sure, because that could throw you off, and then you don't want to have that issue. So always make sure that you catch all the ruffles. And I've done it before where I don't, and so then I have to go back, and then you have, you know, another trail of thread to tuck in and everything. So just make sure, like, your first time, just take your time pinning it. Oh, I have all these little threads. I'm just gonna cut off for now. Okay, so just make sure. So bottom ruffle, mid ruffle, top ruffle, long ruffle. They're all there. Make sure your hem is down so it's not rolled up, and then you make sure your thread is all out. Make sure it's all even, because you don't want it to be poking out when you're doing it. So you want to make sure it's all good and looking good. So all the ruffles right here, and pin them all together. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and serge the ruffles together. Actually, let me start from this side, because then, no, I'll start from this side. Okay. Serge that whole side that we just pinned. We're gonna go all the way around. And make sure you do it slowly so that you can catch everything. You don't want to leave anything out. Almost there. Sure you catch all those ruffles. Okay, so together, here they are, together. So now I'm going to turn it right side out. Here it is. My ruffle pants are done. So cute. And now I just need, so the bottoms are done, and what I'll do is I'll tuck in that tail, but what I need is now to do the waist, and we're done. Look at that, so cute. Okay, now I'm gonna do the waist. And what I have to do first is I already measured my elastic, so I'm gonna go ahead and sew it together. And usually I do that with a zigzag stitch on my machine. at that, it's already set to a zigzag. And I just go back and forth, back and forth. I want to make sure that it's nice and tight. I'm going to go over it one more time because I didn't catch the top very well. Oh. Okay, sometimes your machine will not listen and come unthreaded like this one did. We're going to have to thread it back up. But that's okay. We got it. Almost there. Almost there. Okay, here we go. Okay, it's put together. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to serge it to the pant. But first I want to make sure that it is quarter so I know where I'm going to put it on the pant. So I'm going to mark it. So here's my half. I'm going to fold it in half. So here's my other half. So I'll put a pin there. Then I'm going to put those two together, my half and where my pin is, and I go out to the sides, and that's my quarter. There's one side, and then my other side. And on the pants you already have those because it's the middle parts. So I'm going to do this one, make sure which one's the back. Okay, so here's my back. So I want to make sure that where my elastic ends, I'm going to put that in the back. That's just what I like to do, so then I don't have another one poking out. And I'm just pinning it all the way to the edge of the pant. And here's my middle, my front, pin it right there, and then my sides. Here's my one side, my quarter, and here's my other one. Okay, so now it's pinned to my quarters. So now when I do this, it will not it will be evened out. So when I pull it together, it will be just right. So I'm gonna go on my serger, and I'm gonna actually you can either do it on your serger or on your sewing machine, but I'll do it on my serger, and I'm gonna serge the top, serge that to the elastic to the top from one pin to the next, and just keep going all the way around. And I'm going to make sure that I have my elastic facing up so that I know what I'm doing. And I'm not cutting anything off. So if you want to, you can go ahead and turn your blade down or tuck it in so that you don't actually cut the elastic. So I'm just putting it right to the edge, flushing it, and with my fingers holding it down, and I'm going to go. And stretching lightly just the elastic to match the pant. I'm stretching lightly the elastic to match the pant. Going all the way around. Okay, so here it is. Now all I gotta do is I'm gonna turn, it is already on, so I'm gonna turn it in, I'm gonna turn it down, turn it down, turn it in, and then go ahead and pin it again. And then I'm just going to encase it with a zigzag stitch. Or with a stretch stitch. It really is up to you. If you have a stretch stitch in your machine and you want to just do a stretch stitch, you can do that. Or, you know, if you have some way to top stitch or whatever, you can do that. So I'm just going to go ahead and encase it. Make sure it's all pinned so that it doesn't get all bunched up on one side or the other. So when you stretch it, it is all pinned on the sides. I'm doing a small stretch stitch on our machine. And I'm going to start at the back. And it is the same color as my pant, so you won't be able to really see it. Make sure you're stretching so it doesn't get caught at a weird shape, angle, whatever. And I am done. Here's my elastic band and my Lizzy Pants. So easy peasy, anyone could do it. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you get out there and make all your makes, sew all your makes up. And let me know if you have any questions or anything that you want to add. I'd love to hear from you. You have a great day. Bye.